Nick, welcome to the Kids Bookshop. Thanks for coming to chat to us today. Tell us a little bit about who New Boy is.
Well, Herschel came about because I was a new boy myself. I mean, most of us have been new people somewhere or another, but like him, I moved countries at round about that age. And like him, I looked like a lot of the other people in the classroom, and I spoke English, but it turned out I spoke a very different kind of English, just as he does. He speaks South African English. So my transition issues were kind of underestimated by some people, I think, and his are too. So here's a guy who turns up thinking he might fit in, with other people ready for him to fit in, and yet he finds Australia very different. And it's different in terms of language, it's different in terms of culture, and it seemed like a really interesting time in someone's life to visit them and write about them and see him coming to grips with this stuff. And there's a possibility for some very funny things to happen and for some challenging things to happen, but this is a few weeks in his life as he finds out what this country is like and tries to kind of find his place in it.
So in actual fact, those themes are fairly universal, whether you are a new boy or a new kid starting a new school, or there are questions of identity, questions of fitting in and belonging. There are around themes around cultural diversity. And I love all that because it's so simply kind of presented to the reader that you don't even know you're kind of talking about those themes that, you know, every kid experiences at some point in their life.
That's really good because those things all mattered a lot to me when planning and writing the book, but I didn't want them to be visible. I didn't want this book to be kind of marching towards you holding banners telling you what it was about. I wanted it to be about Herschel. I wanted him to be a character people would want to follow. I wanted this to be a story people would want to read, but sort of embedded in this story are those themes that you just talked about that I think a lot of us have the chance to connect with in one way or another. We're often new in some places, and we live in a country where people now come from a much more diverse range of backgrounds than they used to. So if you're in a classroom today, there are people coming from other places, almost certainly, and arriving in that classroom. And I wanted this to be the kind of book that I wish I would have found when I was new at Ascot State School in Brisbane in the early 1970s. Yeah. But I also wanted to be there for everyone else in the class so that they can, when the new person arrives, so that they can have experienced a bit of what it feels like to be in that head and to make the new to do what they can to make the new person feel better about being there and to ease that transition a bit. And I want it to be a great read. I mean, anytime you set out to write a book, that's what you've got to do first and foremost.